He is the first and only ever UFC BMF champion. He's also the man who will bring IKON FC to Savannah, Georgia on August 5th, turning into a promoter too, man, on top of everything else. Jorge Gilbert Masvidal. Jorge, how are you?
Very good, my brother. How you doing?
I am fantastic. Thank you for taking time to chat with me. Of course, I just mentioned you're bringing your promotion, IKON FC, to Savannah, Georgia, coming up on August 5th. How did Georgia become a destination? Was this something you always had in your mind? How did this one happen?
This one, not we always wanted to do shows in Georgia. It's like our sister state. But one thing led to another. We were looking for venues, and we found some great venues in Savannah, Georgia. We started doing more research. People here are red-blooded. They want to see fights. They want that action, So we did a little bit more research. We put some fillers out there, and we're like, man, this market's going to be great. And so far up to date, we're like 40% sold out on the tables already. We're moving great. It's looking good for us.
Yeah. How has promoter life been for you, Jorge? I mean, I know you wear a lot of hats. You're a fighter, of course. First and foremost, you're a father. You've been around the sport forever, training partner, coach, all these different things you do. But how is promoter? How do you enjoy being a promoter?
Shout out to American Top Team because we crushed it last night on Bellator, and I was more of a teammate in that aspect. But yeah, I've worn all the hats in fighting, maybe except actually be a cut man. Other than that, I've worn every other hat. I love it. I love to fight. Since I got into fighting, I always thought, not in the initial stage, but after some time, and I was like, man, I would like to have a promotion to treat fighters a certain way, take some of these things out, add some of these things in there, and keep it going. And, the opportunity came. I partnered up with some great partners to run these events. And I was like, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do a full blast, just like fighting. I'm going to put everything that I got into it. I'm going to take out a lot of the things that I didn't like personally as a fighter having to go through, and try to make it as easy as possible for these guys, get them as much exposure and pay them, as much as we possibly can at that stage.
It's funny. I talked to some of the guys who fought for Khabib over in Eagle FC, and they say that, fighting for a fighter is a different feeling than just fighting for a promoter. Now, it's not to take away what the UFC has done, Dana White, guys like that, but they say fighting for a fighter is different because what they go through, whether we're talking about the weight cut, the travel, the fight week stuff, media, whatever it is. Like they say it's a different feeling fighting for a fighter. Have you kind of experienced that well as a promoter? Like it's a different role having a fighter as your promoter versus just some business guy.
1,000,000%. Like these guys know I lived it day and night. I only got here because of these. I didn't get here because I was great at posting pictures on Twitter and things like that. No, I got here because of these. So these guys know when I tell them, hey, before you go out there, go get your 15 seconds of fame if you want it. It's there for you to take. You snatch somebody's soul away. People are talking about it on Monday morning. You're on the paper, Dean Martin's interview, and the ball just keeps rolling and rolling and rolling, and you just never know, guys. So when they hear like these words from me, they know like, man, this guy really lived it. This came from street fighting to where he's at now. So it's not rocket science to them, And I love it because a lot of the guys will come up to me and like, man, I know you're going to be watching. I'm going to put on the show. I'm going to be the face of this promotion. And I love to hear, and it's just that fighter to fighter energy. It's fucking amazing.
Yeah, absolutely. To that point, I mean, you are scouting, and bringing in guys who are going to be the next big thing. Of course, your last card, everyone was talking about Bo Nickel. I know that's a guy you know very well. I've interviewed Bo a couple. I actually interviewed him before that fight. Phenomenal prospect. How fun is it for that part of it? Like scouting these prospects, bringing guys in to fight on the card who could be the next, the next Jorge Masvidal, potentially.
That's very fun. We have a very close knit team that we've been in the space of MMA for a while. It's like 4 of us that have kind of grown up together, me and fighting, them as managers, promoters, all types of things. So we sit together and we started to go through tape, and Dean Martin says he likes so-and-so, and Masvidal was like, I don't really like this guy. And then the other guy's like, yeah, I really like this guy. And then we bring him on the show, and then it's like, who was right, who was wrong. So it's definitely amazing. It's kind of like a fantasy football league, but of great fighters that are making and great stablements. So the scouting of the talent, it's fun. It's like a bunch of us sitting together, just like, hey, I like this guy, I like that guy. If we're not together or something, we're just sending videos to each other. Hey, check out this knockout. Hey, check out this guy, what he said in the interview. What do you think? So the process is very organic, and it's what I love to do the most in the world. It's fighting and watching fights. So it comes pretty natural.
Yeah, I know from watching your interview you did a little while back with Ariel, where you talked about some people who do businesses, you're just a figurehead. You're just there to sell because, you're the name. But in your case, you said you put your hands in everything, from the matchmaking to picking the fighters to promoting. You are like a full-on promoter in this event. Has that been enjoyable? Have you learned, kind of in your own role, because you've been doing a lot of different things? And from my understanding at IKON FC, you do a lot of different things. Like, you're not just there to be the face of the organization. You're doing the matchmaking. You're doing the picking the fighters. You're helping promote the event. Like, it's a lot of hats you're wearing inside the promotion.
Oh, definitely. Right here, we're in Savannah, Georgia, and all day long I'll just be promoting. I'm gonna go to the event, have like another 5-6 interviews. I already did like 3 radio stations here in Savannah. I'm gonna go some local channels now, so it's constantly, you're working. I could just sit back and collect the check and just, hey, you guys put my name on it, but then I wouldn't want my name on it. You get what I'm saying? Because if the fights are shitty, if you didn't like the fights, Dean, and the fights are lackluster, we see that the card is completely one-sided and it's not the type of fights that you want to see, I'm not going to want to be a part of that, So it's very easy. You guys want me a part of this? I have to have a lot of saying it, It's not that I pick every single fight from the prelims on, but every fight in the main card, I have something to do with it. It gets brought to me. Is it, what do you think about so-and-so versus so-and-so? Hey, how about this for the co-main event or the main event? And all of that, I have a good amount of input in every single fight, as well as bringing in sponsors, being able to help guys out. That's something that I try to do a lot, just because I'm a fighter. I know that, hey, I could go fight so-and-so show and make XYZ, or I could go fight in so-and-so show, make XYZ plus some sponsorships. They're going to come over here. On top that, we're sending a lot of guys at an alarming rate to the big leagues. Guys are just signing up, and we're still scouting every day looking for the country's best talent. But it gets easier when they're just sending me the tape, sending me the videos, sending me the records, sending me, hey, I would love to fight with you. I saw the last fight card. I see where those guys are right now. How do I get involved in IKON? And that is like, it's just a snowball effect now, right? Now I got some of the best guys in the country just coming at us, wanting to fight for me.
Absolutely. Now, I know you have a lot of prospects I mentioned, but I saw in this card you're also going to be booking Joe Schilling. A lot of people, of course, know Joe Schilling, a legend of the sport, kickboxing legend, just all-around legend. How did that happen? How did Joe Schilling end up here?
Well, initially, we wanted Joe Schilling to fight for Gilbert FC bare knuckle, but believe it or not, like 6 months later, we had to give up on that dream because nobody wants to fight Joe Schilling bare knuckle. It wasn't easy, and the price tag that people, the ones that kind of considered to fight Joe Schilling bare knuckle was unfeasible. It wasn't something that we could do or want to do. It wouldn't be a good business plan. So we kept talking to Joe, and we're like, hey, how about gloved? It might be easy to find your fight. Wrong. Still very hard to fight Joe fight, man. He's we've had 4 guys drop out. We had 2 guys that had official bouts signed. They things happened. They dropped out. So if any of the fighters out there hearing this and you'd like to fight Joe Schilling, give IKON FC a shout.
Yeah, I mean, talk about an opportunity. Listen, we know it's not an easy fight by any stretch of the imagination, but still, what an opportunity, right? Joe Schilling's a huge name. Like, that would be a great opportunity. Like, take your shot. Yeah, I know you're a guy who never turned down fights. Like, that's what you got to – you got to take those risks, right? Like, you got to fight – if you want to build a name, fight a guy like Joe Schilling.
Besides, I'm going to do myself a disfavor, but, in this announcement I'm about to make, but find a guy like Joe Schilling, it's not like you had one of these wrestlers that took you down and laid on you for 3 rounds and 15 minutes and just hugged the crap. Now you find Joe Schilling, your legs are going to be very sore. You're probably not going to be able to walk too well the next day. Might have a broken eye orbit or some broken jaw or something, so it's not easy to make these guys, but it's a fight game, man. There'll be somebody out there be like, yeah, they'll hear this right now and be like, yeah, I could fight Joe. Let's go.
Yeah. Let me ask real quick. I mentioned, I don't want to take the attention away from the Savannah card, but I mentioned, of course, Bo Nickel on the last card. Huge knockout. Bo might be the best prospect in the sport right now. I mean, period. Like, he may be the best prospect in mixed martial arts right now. Will you have Bo back in a future show? Is there a plan to have him back on IKON FC?
Or if I could have Bo fighting at all of the IKONs FCs, no brainer. But Bo's a special case. Guys like Bo don't come out often. I don't think we're going to be able to hold on to Bo for much longer until he gets called up to the big leagues, just a matter of time. If I know there's some things in place already for some organizations, but everybody's been tossing numbers at him since he's gone pro. So it's really up to Bo. Me personally, if I could get him for another 10 fights, I'd love that, But chances are we won't be seeing Bo maybe 1 more in IKON, 2 more in IKON, and then he's off, man. And to think that he's only 1-0 as a pro, that's a really crazy part. It's just 1 fight as a pro.
Yeah, and I know obviously you've worked with him at American Top Team, so you know how good this kid is. I mean, this kid's a phenom.
I mean, I want to say I was when Bo's first days of MMA were on the mat, I was there with him, grappling with him, working a little bit of striking. And I mean, the grappling is just side of this world, man. That his style too, because he a lot of collegiate guys are very good at taking guys down and controlling. But, when you get like the number one in the country versus the number two, you always don't see that disparity or that manhandling with number one or get number two and take him down, hold him down, pin him. Bo was that guy in wrestling, has the most pins at his weight class season after season. I think he led the country in pins as well. So it just shows like his work rate and his attrition. Not a guy that fades in overtime either. So I really think he's going to be hell, man, for a lot of guys at 185. He's going to be the type of guy that he took you down once, and that's all she wrote. He might either submit you or just that whole round you lost because you're not getting away from this guy, Mixed in with the hands that he's starting to develop because the kid has natural power. I worked out with him a lot. From all the wrestling, I guess, man, he's just like this dense fucking little white gorilla. He hits, it hurts, man. So, man, Bo's a problem. I've been talking about Bo for a while. The last guy that I was prophesizing since an amateur just became a world champion yesterday, Johnny Eblen in Bellator. I was telling everybody about Johnny Eblen since his amateur days. I was telling you, keep your eye on this guy. Keep your eye on this guy. It takes a lot to be a world champion. Luck is definitely a factor in being a world champion. So I don't ever like to just look at somebody and be like, that guy's going to be a world champion. But I do know the qualities that it takes to be a world champion, the type of speed, power, mindset, things like that, I'm telling you, Bo could definitely be a world champion in maybe 2 weight classes as well, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you mentioned Johnny Eblen. I saw Mike Brown's post about him where he told him, quit your job, come live on my couch and become a full-time fighter. And now here he is, a freaking champion, 11 fights in. It's pretty crazy. That kid's got all kinds of talent. And I agree. I think Bo Nickal's got that kind of talent. I'm super high on him. I think he has got a very, very bright future ahead of him. Very,
very bright future. Doesn't get tired, has crazy power, and truly a student of the game. I pull Bo aside. He has like no ego. Like, hey, man, try this, try that. He's like, let me try it. And like right away, no ego. And I see why he's gotten so far because he's not the type of guy that's like, all right, 30-time national champion. I know everything. No, even in the sport of wrestling, he knows. He doesn't know everything there is to know. So it's amazing. I'm gonna get to see his journey from amateur. I've been watching Bo since his collegiate days, all the way now to pro. And wherever else he goes.
Yeah, absolutely. Jorge, I'd be remiss if I didn't ask you about your
other guy. We got a heavyweight also that we sent to the UFC. Hamdi, 4-0, no, 5-0, 4-0, 4-0, 4 knockouts. Also a Gamebred Promotions guy. He fought in GFC, Gamebred Fighting Promotions. Fight in IKON. Standout. He's a Egyptian national Greco champion that doesn't like to wrestle. Has natural powers, knocking everybody out, and he's off to the UFC, man. His contract signed, so that's another killer that we sent off. Another big prospect, That's what kind of sucks with these guys. I make these big prospects, and then I gotta cut them loose,
Yeah, but there's got to be a lot of pride there, right? Like bring him up and see him succeed, and then watch them succeed in the UFC. You're fighting right alongside him. Like that's pretty amazing.
That definitely, it's amazing, And now I'm gonna be watching Bo and Hamdi with a microscope, as they go through their whole career in the UFC, and just to be like, wow, fucking, that's amazing. I've been, witness to that whole journey.
Yeah, absolutely. Jorge, I'd be remiss if I didn't ask about yourself. Of course, everyone is very excited about when you're going to fight again. I know there's been lots of talk. I know you mentioned, when you're hoping to come back, looking at some potential matchups out there. I know I'm not going to say that you've signed anything right now, but like, where are we at right now? Because I know everyone's buzzed. Listen, I'm not going to lie to you. You know as well as I do. Everyone's buzzed about the Conor fight. Everyone wants a Conor fight. Does Conor want to fight? That's the problem, right? Like that.
No, Conor doesn't want to fight. If he did, he'd post something. He'd say something. He'll probably just insult my mom or some relative of mine or my nation where I come from. He'll say something like that, but he won't say anything about a fight or a fight date. So the Conor thing is like he just wants it to like, I just hope it goes away because he really doesn't want to fight. He doesn't mention, doesn't say anything. Obviously, it's maybe the biggest pay-per-view fight in history as far as UFC goes. I think we'd shatter all numbers, all previous records, but this guy for some reason doesn't entertain him. Money doesn't entertain him no more, make him want to get out of his bed. I think the only thing that makes him want to get out of his bed is cocaine, and that's okay. Every man has a free will. You can do whatever you want, but don't say you're a fighter and then don't take cheap shots at me too. Especially the things that he be saying, talking about my legal problems and this and that. Like, you're fucking pussy. We could do it man to man in the cage and just once and for all figure it out and get paid a handsome reward while doing it. So that this individual doesn't want to do it, lets you know he knows what's going to happen.
Yeah, it's such a big fight, and it's one of those things where you're kind of like, how would you not be interested? Like, I get it from the fight aspect. Like, of course, the danger of fighting Jorge Masvidal is there. We know that. But, I mean, payday-wise, I don't know that there's a bigger fight. Like, I understand the rivalry with Nate Diaz, but that's just not the same fight it was 6 years ago. You and Conor at this point in your careers, that's a monstrous fight. Like, that would be a huge pay-per-view. But again, like you said, maybe the risk is not worth the reward of the money. I don't know.
And it's also the branding, the style of fight that I'm not going to take him down and hold him down. I'm going to get in his face. I'm going to break his jaw, and that's not going to look good for his brand. Conor got beat up on the feet. Conor got outstruck. Yes, it doesn't sit well with him or his team. But if it did, you'd shortly hear him say something back to this or something, because everybody's going to be sending this interview. What is he going to do?
Yeah. Did you hear the rumor that they were talking about maybe him doing the rematch with Floyd? Did you hear this rumor?
No, I didn't hear this rumor.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if it's true or not. I heard the rumor because he posted something on Instagram like, I accept, and there was this rumor. I was like, do we really need to see that again? Like, again, really? Do we need to see that again? I mean, listen, I'm never going to fault anyone for making money. I promise you. Like, if he wants to go make money,
But making money, like, are people going to want to see Floyd and Conor again? Like, are people going to shell out $85 to see that? Especially now with inflation and all the crazy shit going on in the country. I think they would rather save it for the gas pump.
Yeah, I agree. Now, with the Conor fight, now that's just a massive fight. We all know it's the fight that the entire world would tune in to watch. But I know another guy that has mentioned your name, very respectful, and I did an interview with him a couple weeks ago. Could not have said nicer things about you in terms of wanting to fight as Gilbert Burns. It's kind of like the complete polar opposite of Conor. Gilbert has been praising you, and he said, I'll sign the contract, no takedowns. Let's go. Let's have a fun fight. Does Gilbert Burns interest you?
No. I don't want Gilbert to sign no contracts. There's no takedowns. Do your game, my brother. Do what's got in here. I know he's a world champion in BJJ. I'm trying to work on my grappling always to get it better. So do everything that God has allowed you to do and blessed you to do. Definitely a fight that interests me. Before the Conor fight came up, that's the one that called me out, and I was like, man, this is a guy that comes to fight. Not the whole world doesn't know him, but they will, because, man, he comes to fight. He's either going to try to choke you out, knock you out, and just has a good style. I like to fight. Once some of these legal issues that I got going on kind of, then I'm setting a date. That's another reason why we're not setting dates right now, because I just got to figure out some things, and then we'll lock it in,
Yeah. Do you think we'll see you back before the end of the year?
That is my goal. Is definitely to be back before the end of the year. So we got to put all the ducks in a row, make sure everything is correct. Some things are like slightly out of my hands. So I can't say 100% I'll be competing this year, but if it's up to me, 100% I'm competing this year.
Yeah. Now, I know you already mentioned somebody in another interview, so I won't make you rehash what you said. Of course, you heard Leon Edwards say, if he becomes champion, he wants to defend the title against you. And of course you're going to take that fight. Why wouldn't you take that fight? That's, a no-brainer. But can I ask your opinion? Do you see Leon beating Kamaru Usman? That's the better question. Like, I know you would take the Leon Edwards fight, but do you actually see him beating Kamaru Usman?
I don't, to tell you the truth. I think with the, it's a fight. Anything could happen. There's no 1,000% winning for anybody, I believe, in this sport. I don't care even if they're undefeated. It's just a matter of time in a way. I think that Usman wins more times than Leon wins if they were to fight 5 times. He's a little bit more complete. And I think at the end of it, just the wrestling, it'll come down to the wrestling, really, to tell you the truth. I think on the feet, Leon's a little bit more polished, maybe better setups, more variety of attacks. But Usman's wrestling, I think he'll keep Leon honest, so where he won't open up how you usually win a lot of guys. I see Usman winning.
Yeah, they always say styles make fights, and I mean this with the utmost respect. Like you and Nate Diaz, I love Nate. Nate's been around the sport, all these kind of things. I think you will always be a bad matchup for Nate Diaz. I don't care what Nate Diaz does between now and infinity. You'll never be a good matchup for him. And I kind of think the same thing about Leon. I like Leon. I know a lot of people dislike Leon. I like Leon. stylistically, though, I think you're a bad matchup for him, and I think that's going to be a bad matchup whether it's now, today, tomorrow, next week, next month. Like I feel like I would still like to see that fight, but I feel like you're always going to be kind of a bad matchup for Leon Edwards.
Yeah, I think naturally I'm just faster than him. Though I'm smaller than him, I have more power. We find a lot of common opponents, and he couldn't do anything to him, but give him a split decision. I put those same guys in stretchers, so I do very well with the strikers, as everybody knows. It's like those high-end wrestlers, those guys that they've wrestled since they're 7 years old. They could take me out of my comfort zone, put me on my back, and not allow me to use all my tools where I have some problems. Leon's not that guy. He doesn't have that next level wrestling or endurance. I don't see him. I know he takes a lot of guys down, but the caliber of takedowns and the opponents that he does it to, it's not me. So I don't see his grappling being a problem for me, and the striking, I welcome it. Let's find out. Let's go.
Yeah, I know you talk a lot about working on your wrestling and grappling. You probably don't remember this, Jorge, but a few years ago, I was down at American Top Team. I was doing some stuff with Joanna Jacek, and I was at a grappling session during the pro day. And I saw you grapple with Shoeface, Antonio Carlos Jr. It was a full grapple. And that was a fun grappling session. Like there was no like to be clear, Shoeface is a huge guy. Like he's a monstrous guy. So people like to give you grief for like grappling and wrestling, but you actually have very legit grappling and wrestling. Like, listen, there's no fault in that. You know what I'm saying? Like I saw you grapple one of the best grapplers in the world, and it was fun. Like you guys were scrambling, you guys were scrapping. It was a lot of fun. So I know you're working on it, but I'm just saying, like, it's not like, it's this huge detriment. You've got those skills, again, I'm just saying, not you need me to defend you, but I'm just saying.
And it's not like I started doing this like a fight or two ago. I've always worked on my grappling because I've always known, God bless me with hands, reflexes, and just natural endurance for striking. For wrestling, since the first day I got on the mat till today, I've always known I don't have those same gifts and abilities in wrestling. So I've always put more time in wrestling and jiu-jitsu because I know if a guy takes me off my feet, I can't use my God-given tools anymore. So I've always put in tremendous amount of work with good grapplers like Shoeface, which is the PFL 205 champ, down at the gym, guys like Bo Nickel that's bigger than me. It's not even competitive with me. Whenever there's a great grappler in ATT, and we get them by the tons, we got Gamrot right now coming up to fight Armand for the main event in Gamrot's a heavy wrestler. Guess who was helping him out for this fight camp? Me. I was working out with Johnny Eblin a lot to imitate Gegard Mousasi. And Johnny was just using his style that he was going to use in a fight. Punch, get to a takedown, slam him on your head, keep punching, So I'm constantly in the grappling. I actually grapple maybe 60, 70% of my gym time is spent just grappling, whether it be offense or defense, just to get better at there. So it's one of those things that's a work in progress.
Absolutely. Well, I know you're always busy, Jorge, and of course with the you've also got some grappling stuff coming up. You're got a grappling team coming up, don't you? That's coming up too, right?
Yeah. Speaking of Bo, he's one of my grapplers. So is Enrique Coco, Miami, Florida native guy. Man, I grew up with this kid, man. He is phenomenal grappler, submissions from everywhere. Like, man, this dude's special with the submissions. So I'm looking forward to see him. PJ Barch is also on our team, and we got one more guy, but his name is slipping me right now. Is
it Craig Jones? Is that the one?
Craig Jones. How could I forget?
Yeah.
You get mad at me, Craig. Yeah, Craig Jones, man. I got these 4 killers. I'm just gonna stick them loose in the world.
Bo Nickel and Craig Jones on the same team. That's kind of scary, Jorge. Like that's a little terrifying for the grapplers out there. Those two are nasty.
And I think since the last time that people saw just Bo straight grappling to now, they might find him obviously still going to have the powerhouse takedowns, out scramble anybody, endurance to the roof. But he has, without saying too much, he has added some pretty damn good submissions to his arsenal, where he's just been drilling them day and night and day. And then I go with him, I'm like, bro, you're not the same guy you were 7-8 months ago, And obviously, if we're talking about position, elite wrestlers like Bo have the best position. Like they're just going to end up on top more times than not. They're going to be able to out scramble everybody, get on top. Now it's him learning that top game, how to not get caught while navigating through the guard and then continue to apply that pressure. So it's I think Bo's going to make some heads turn again at the grappling event.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Jorge, we all look forward to you fighting again. As a guy who's covered your career going back many, many, many years, I always look forward to you fighting. That being said, I'm glad you got all these other things going on because you're never not busy. You've got all the promotion things you're doing. You got IKON FC coming up in August. You got the grappling thing coming up in a matter of days. Whether you're fighting or not, we're always going to be watching. And I guess that's the most important part, right? We're always going to be paying attention to whatever Jorge Masvidal does.
Thank you, my brother. August 5th, you're about to see the nation's best throwdown, and we're going to find out who's going to be the next guy to go on and get world titles, break faces and stuff. So I love this sport, and this sport loves me. You know, it's like we're yin and yang in this sport. The sport is me, and I'm the sport, you know?
I love it. Jorge, thank you again for the time. I really do appreciate it. Look forward to the card on August 5th, and we'll talk again soon, okay?
Thank you, brother. Always a pleasure, man. Have a good one.